Welcome back to an Autistic Girl and Her God podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Baltusis, and I'm so glad that you are here with me today. Whether you're walking through your own neurodivergent journey, you're supporting someone you love, or maybe you're just curious, this space is for you. In the last episode, we talked about masking, meltdowns, and mercy. We talked about what each of those things are and are not, and how God views us in our weakest moments. Today's episode is one that's really, really close to my heart. We're talking about unmasking, specifically what that looks like as an autistic or neurodivergent person, and what it means for those of us who are also walking with Jesus. It's raw, it's freeing, it's a little scary, and it's something I'm still learning to do every single day. Let's dive in. Our scripture of the day is Psalm 139:1. O Lord, you have examined my heart, and you know everything about me. I love that verse. He knows us so intimately, so beautifully. He can be trusted, friends. All right, you know what time it is. Every episode, I like to have a different cup of tea. And this time, I've got this Mandarin number that I'm enjoying. Oh, that's good. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is masking? We talked a little about this in the last episode. Masking is when we hide or suppress our natural responses in order to fit in, to avoid being judged, or just survive in a world that often doesn't understand us. It's something that many neurodivergent people, especially autistic people, do it without even realizing it. It might look like forcing eye contact, even though it's uncomfortable or painful, rehearsing conversations ahead of time to sound normal, mimicking facial expressions, body language, or speech patterns to fit in, pretending we're not overwhelmed, even though our nervous systems are screaming. It's just trying to pass, to blend in, to avoid being labeled or mocked or misunderstood. And masking is not just a social quirk, it's exhausting. Over time, it can lead to burnout and anxiety and depression and a deep sense of disconnection from ourselves and our God-given identity. What's especially important to know is that females are often really good at masking, and we pick it up early. Sometimes we're even praised for it. We're called polite or mature or well-behaved. She's so well-behaved. But often the cost of that praise is steep because while the world sees normal, inside we're struggling to breathe. So why do we start masking in the first place? Sometimes it's to stay safe and sometimes it's to belong. Often it's because we're told directly or even indirectly that who we are isn't enough. Maybe we were called too sensitive, too loud, too quiet, too weird, too much. Maybe we were shamed for flapping, spinning, lining things up, asking too many questions, or needing time alone. Or maybe we were praised for staying quiet, smiling through that discomfort, and being easy, so we learned to keep our true needs hidden. For me, one of the biggest areas of struggle is using my voice at an appropriate level. For example, if I'm in the car with someone, we're having a blast singing along to the songs, or if I'm at church, I'm lost in worship, I am painfully aware of how loud my voice is. Now, I can carry a tune, but that's actually the problem. I'm often more insecure about the fact that I can sing than I would be if I couldn't. I don't love the attention. That's an odd thing for a former semi-professional singer to say, but I truly don't love the attention. If I sense that I'm singing louder than someone else, I will turn it down so that I am less. And I've caught myself doing this on more than one occasion, even outside of singing. The thoughts enter my mind. Who does she think she is? Why is she always doing so much? Why can't she just be quiet? Does she think she's better than everyone else? These are things I undoubtedly heard in my childhood. I can actually remember a few folks saying some of these things. Eventually, these messages become the soundtrack of our lives, and we don't even realize how much we shrink ourselves to fit inside their teeny little boxes for us. I hate to say it, but some of those messages came from church culture too. I grew up believing that being godly meant being calm and tidy and self-controlled. So when I experienced sensory overload, social struggles, or emotional dysregulation, I didn't just feel different, I felt wrong. Like I was spiritually broken. And while I do believe there is an element of growth that can happen in these areas, spiritually and otherwise, so much of it is not a brokenness, but an area where we just need Jesus to sit with us and hold us through the storm. Sometimes we just need to be free in the Holy Spirit to spin and twirl and enjoy Him. And here's the thing, when masking becomes a daily habit, it starts to feel like your personality. We lose track of who we really are. We learn to survive but not to thrive. I learned to shrink and hide and sing quietly, but God designed me to stand tall, shine brightly for Him, and to use my voice boldly. It's like the lamp in Matthew 5:15, hidden under a basket so nobody can see. What a waste. That's what masking does. Now, unmasking takes the lamp out of the basket and gently places it on the table where it can shine in all the beauty and splendor that the Creator intended. When it's finally out of the basket, it can shine that bright, radiant light for all the world to see. The world is so dark right now. Now is not the time to hide our light. We need to get out of the boxes we've put ourselves in and let who we are shine like a lighthouse to guide others to the source of our light. Unmasking is the process of undoing all of that, of noticing where we've been hiding and slowly, sometimes painfully, letting ourselves be seen again. Let me tell you, unmasking is beautiful. And it's brutal. There is a grief, such a deep grief that comes with unmasking. We grieve for the years we lost pretending, for the people who only knew a version of us we created for their comfort, for the masks we wore so long that we forgot we were even wearing them. Maybe you remember from the last episode when I shared that I copied other people's laughs for so long. I didn't even know what my own laugh sounded like. It was a terrifying experience, letting go and just laughing to see what it sounded like. What an odd thing to have to do, but that's what masking steals from us. Little tiny pieces of ourselves. Many times we mask unconsciously and have no idea we're even doing it. I had no clue I was copying other people's laugh styles. You may not know until someone says something, or we have a moment of awakening like I did when I discovered, oh my gosh, I don't even know how I laugh. That's not me. That's so-and-so I heard 4 years ago. Where did this come from? Why did I do this? There's fear when we try to unmask. What will people think if I stop pretending? Will they still like me? Will I still belong? Will I still be good enough? Sometimes we do lose people when we unmask. That is real. But sometimes we find our people. The ones who love the unfiltered version of us. The one that God created on purpose. When I was going through my autism discovery journey a few years ago, I had nobody to talk to. I felt so alone, but I knew I needed a community of other females that were neurodivergent and Christian. There was absolutely nothing out there like that then. So I did what I always do, and I created a community. I started a Christian neurodivergent women Facebook group. And to start, there were only a few women in there, but it was exciting to see I was no longer alone. I could be who I truly was, and I could process things in a safe place. Now, fast forward a few years, and we're over 15,000 women in this group now. 15,000! Imagine if I had continued masking and never shown my true self. Where would all these beautiful women have found a home? I love the line from that movie Field of Dreams where he says, if you build it, they will come. Although it's kind of like, if you build it, they will come. I have lived by that line my whole life. We have to be brave enough to heal and unmask so we can build what God has for us, so that others will feel safe and free to come into His presence. There's so much freedom in unmasking. The kind of freedom that feels like fresh air after years of holding your breath. It's messy, it's slow, it's even a little bloody, but it's so worth it. Unmasking for some means they wear noise-canceling headphones to church. They say no to events that will lead to burnout. They stim in public without shame. I've personally learned to give myself permission to rest, to say no, to ask for what I need, and to honor the rhythms of my body and mind. That doesn't mean I never mask. I often still do, especially when safety is at stake. But now I'm more aware and I check in with myself. I ask, am I safe to be me here? I'm also more aware of my limits, and I think of everything as a budget now. Do I have the physical budget for this event, or will my body be in too much pain? Do I have the emotional budget for this, or will I be forced to mask when I hit that social wall inevitably, and then I'll shut down and be miserable for the whole event? Do I have the spiritual budget for this? Meaning, is this something that God is asking me to do right now? Because if it's not, and I'm just trying to please someone, I'm going to run out of capacity quickly, and I will not be effective at all. But if it is something that God's asking me to do, then He will increase my capacity to do this, because it's something inside of His will. Now, this is so important to touch on. Just because we're neurodivergent does not mean that we won't have to push it sometimes. We might be out of capacity, but that's where Jesus wants to step in and increase our capacity to do His will. He won't increase our capacity to do just anything, but what He called us to, He will carry us through. And then we need to be diligent and faithful to rest afterwards, to recharge and recover. We need to say no to things and protect that time. Jesus had the Father increase his capacity to be with people so many times in the Bible. He would minister for so long before eating and drinking, but it wasn't every instance of ministry for him either. He learned the rhythms and the balance, and he stuck to that. He spent time alone with the Father when he needed to recharge. I feel like we have so much to learn from him in this area. The other thing is, if we aren't having to mask during an entire event, whatever it is, that gives us extra energy and capacity to stick around a little longer. We won't feel so drained and tired afterwards. Masking takes an incredible amount of energy from us. For so long, I thought God wanted me to be more neurotypical, more together, less too much. But as I've started to unmask, I've realized something life-changing. God never asked me to be someone else. He made me neurodivergent on purpose. He knit me together in my mother's womb. My frame was not hidden from him. Psalm 139 also says, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That includes my big, beautiful brain full of synapses. That includes my stimming. That includes the way I need routine, or the way I feel things deeply, or I cry at the saddest commercial, or the way I need silence to process. Now, sure, maybe some of those things can stem from the fall and the curse, but not all of it stems from that. God isn't surprised by my wiring. He isn't disappointed by it. In fact, I believe he rejoices in it, because it reflects part of his image. So when I unmask, I'm not just becoming more authentic. I'm becoming more aligned with how God created me in the first place. That truth has changed everything. It's given me permission to stop performing and start abiding. It's helped me trust that even when the world misunderstands me, God never does. It's so painful to be misunderstood, isn't it? This is the plight of the neurodivergent person. We'll talk about this later in another episode, but just remember, God was there. He knows the truth, and he will sustain you through the pain of being misunderstood. Before we end our time together, I want to walk you through an unmasking exercise. That be okay? Let's do it together. You can do this with eyes closed, with your hand over your heart, or you can just quietly listen. If you're journaling, feel free to grab a notebook. Are you ready? All right, the first thing we're going to do, take a deep breath in and let it out. I recently heard something super helpful about deep breaths. When you breathe in, you're smelling the flowers. And when you breathe out, you're blowing out the candles. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Remind yourself, right now, I'm safe to be honest. I don't have to perform for God. He already knows me and loves me. Now ask yourself these questions. Where in my life do I feel like I have to hide who I really am? What parts of myself feel too much or not enough? What am I doing out of pressure to fit in, rather than from a place of peace or authenticity? What would it look like to let myself be just 10% more real today? Now I want you to repeat after me. God made me on purpose. I am not a mistake. I'm safe to be who he created me to be. I'm learning to let go of the mask and come home to myself with grace. Now, what is one small thing you could do this week that honors the real you? Maybe it's wearing your headphones without apology, saying no to something overwhelming, or letting yourself stim without hiding. Take a moment to name it, and that is your next step. I also encourage you to find the song Out of Hiding by Stephanie Gretzinger. She actually has a lyric video that you can watch on YouTube. I love the first verse and chorus that says, "Come out of hiding, you're safe here with me. There's no need to cover what I already see. You've got your reasons, but I hold your peace. You've been on lockdown, and I hold the key. 'Cause I loved you before you knew what was love. I saw it all, still I chose the cross. You were the one that I was thinking of when I rose from the grave. Now rid of the shackles, my victory is yours. I tore the veil for you to come close. There's no reason to stand at a distance anymore. You're not far from home." Go listen to this song and let it wash over you. Let his love guide you and encourage you to let down the mask, friend. Be seen and loved for who you truly are. If you're listening today and this hit home, if you've been masking for years, maybe even decades, I want you to hear this. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not a mistake. God sees the real you under the mask, and He calls you very good. You don't have to earn love by pretending. You don't have to hide to be accepted. You are already loved, already chosen, already enough. Unmasking is hard work, but you don't have to do it all at once. Start where you are. Let Him lead you through the unmasking process. Let Him reveal step by step which parts of you to unmask next. Be gentle with yourself and know that healing is holy work. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, would you consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it too? And as always, you can find me on any of the podcast social media or my personal social media. I love hearing from you. And don't miss the next episode where we'll be talking in detail about burnout. Until next time, may you walk boldly in the truth of who you are, an unmasked, beloved, wonderfully made child of God. Blessings to you.